Hello, folks. Hello, hello. All right. I logged in a little bit early, so I'm going to hang up here for a minute until it's time to start. When you get here, if you get here, let me know where you are. Where are you watching from today? Today, I am in Gulf Shores, Alabama. I've been here all week, and yeah, I'll tell you the updates in a little bit. I'll tell you the updates in a minute. All right. See a few people joining. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. Hello, hello. Hello, folks. I'll get started here in just a minute. Is it time to start? Oh, it's time to start. Let me go ahead and get started. All right. So if you're here, I see there's a few people here. Let me know where you are. Where are you watching from? Thank you for being here and joining me today. I need to get better about scheduling these ahead of time. I always intend to do them on Fridays, but the last few weeks have been a little hectic, and I've been waiting until the very last minute to post that I'm doing them. So glad you saw my announcement. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. All right. So today I plan to do a little bit of a different sort of discussion on this live stream. I made a post a few days ago, I don't remember when it was. I think it was, I don't know what, it was a few days ago. I made a post on all the socials. So that's, I'm here on YouTube, obviously, and then on Facebook and also on Instagram. And I made this post about why my teaching is different. And I talked about, my training that I've done, which is mostly in India. I talked a little bit about my previous life as an engineer. And I also talked about, that familiar feeling, at least familiar to me, of not fitting in and how these things combine together to make my teaching what it is. And I was so surprised to find out that everyone didn't know that about me already. So I realized that I need to do a little bit of a better job of communicating, like the things that are in my head that I think everyone is aware of, actually everyone's not aware of. So today I thought I'd do a little bit of an introduction about me in case you're new. I may even, if you know me already, you may even hear something in my introduction that you didn't know about me already. And so, just a little more information so you know who I am and who you're practicing with. And then after that, I'll talk about just some updates, like what's going on with yoga, like all the different kind of yoga things that I do, and also just some kind of personal updates as well. All right, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I wonder if the chat's working. You know what? I don't have a window. I don't know why. I wonder if anyone's able to chat. Huh. What does this say? Oh, look at that. There are people saying hi. Hi, folks. All right. Me Forward is here from Texas, and Educate Gray is here from Southern California. Margaret's here from Virginia. Hi, Margaret. And Danielle is here from also California, Southern California. All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I don't know why those chats weren't popping up for me, but they're there now. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am. So, my name is Zelinda, and I teach yoga. And I've been teaching yoga since about 2007, 2008. I did my first round of teacher training. So, if you want to become a yoga teacher, you do a yoga teacher training program. And in the US, typically that means it's a 200-hour program. Like that's the first level requirement for yoga teachers. And so I did that in 2007, and I graduated at the very beginning, actually the very end of 2007, and started teaching in 2008. And then I taught for a while. During that time I had my kids. I used to work in high tech. I was working at Dell at the time when I did my teacher training program. And then, after I had my first child, I reduced my number of hours. And then after I had my second child, I eventually decided to leave high tech altogether. There was a lot of things kind of going on at the same time. So let's see, I completed the first teacher training program. And right away I started to teach. I was teaching out of my car. I had a Prius at the time, and I rented space from a ballet studio in town. And so I would have all my yoga props in the trunk of my car, and I'd drive over to this ballet studio on Saturday mornings, and I'd, obviously arrive early, and I'd sweep all the floors, and I'd unpack all my yoga props into the studio, and then the ballet place. And then people would start coming in, and we'd have the class, and then I'd do the whole thing in reverse. I'd pack up all my stuff, sweep the floor, and go. So I did that for a year. And then after that year, I had like some regular students. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can have a space. And so I opened this little space to be my yoga studio, and I taught there. I added a second class, and then I eventually started adding a couple of teachers. And, I had that yoga studio space for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, there was a whole lot of things going on. There was a whole lot of things going on with the building. It was old, and there was talk about demolishing the building because they were going to put in some new roads, some new traffic infrastructure, whatever. And so I decided that it was time to move. So I moved, and we found a different space, which was significantly bigger and significantly more expensive. And that expensive part will come into play later in my story. But anyway, so we were in the other space for 7 years, and then the pandemic hit. Actually, the pandemic hit, yes. But somewhere within that time, I continued my training. And so this is kind of a long story, and if you want the details of it, actually, I didn't end up writing it in the post. But anyway, somewhere within that span, when we were in the second yoga studio, I had the opportunity to go to India. That's kind of a long story. If you're interested in it, I can tell you one day. But long story short, I ended up, just having the opportunity to go study in India. And so I did a 500-hour training course in, I think it was 2017 and 2018. Feels like yesterday. At the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram. It's in Chennai, which is in the state of Tamil Nadu in India. It's like southern India. And it was fantastic. It was life-changing. It was teaching changing. What I mean by that is, the yoga that you learn in the US is one thing. It's like American style yoga. And then the yoga that I learned in India was a completely different thing. Obviously there were some similarities. It's still yoga. It's still moving your body and breathing. But it was just at a whole different level. I learned a lot of things that I didn't even know existed. I felt like a total beginner when I went to India, and I did all of the training there. And, honestly, when I came back, so the way that the program in India works is that it's an 18-month course, but you go there and you're, in person with them for 3 discrete months. So I went for 1 month and then came home for about 8 months. And then I'd go back for 1 more month and then come home and then, 1 more time. Every time I went to India and did 1 module of training and then came back, it became increasingly difficult for me to teach because what I knew before versus what I was learning in India, there were so many discrepancies and so many gaps. So everything that I thought I knew turned out was not what I really wanted to be teaching. And it was rough there. It was rough for about a year and a half while I was trying to figure out my new style of teaching. But I'm really glad that I went through it. I feel that I learned a lot. I learned a lot of traditional things that we don't learn about in teacher training programs in the US. A lot of details about mindfulness that I didn't know before. A lot of traditional breathing practices that nobody teaches in the US. A lot of Indian culture, Ayurveda. There was a whole lot of stuff that I learned in my course in India that I didn't learn at my course in Austin. So anyway, I did that. And then, let me see the chronology. After that, about a year later, I found out that the same school would be offering a yoga therapy course. So of course, I definitely wanted to do that. And so I enrolled in that. I went for the first module. It was the same, kind of structure where it's an 18-month program and you go for 1 month at a time. So I completed the first month and loved it, and it's hard. It's like, it's a lot of work. It's like, college or master's level kind of yoga work. And then I was ready to go back for the second module, but that's when COVID started happening, or coronavirus started happening, and it ended up, it was a very difficult and stressful time. But the day that I was meant to fly to India, I decided at the very last minute that I couldn't go because I could see what was happening with the pandemic. And at that time, there was starting to be the idea of quarantining. Like if you travel somewhere, then you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And I was like, well, I cannot risk traveling to India for 5 weeks. And then, maybe I get stuck there, or maybe they let me fly back and then I'm going to be quarantined for some, unknown amount of time. And, I have 2 elementary school age kids, so I can't just be gone for a long time like that. So at the last minute, I decided to not go. And it ended up that they canceled that module about a week into it. And so it was fine that I didn't go. And anyway, so that's still ongoing. And now they have converted some of that instruction to online. So I'm continuing to do my yoga therapy course online right now. I'm learning more, like currently I'm learning about Ayurveda, and I'm learning about the use of sound in the asana practice. So all really fascinating stuff to me. Anyway, so that's my training. And then back to the storyline about the studio. So when the pandemic happened and I had to shut down the studio in March of 2020, we were still paying rent on our space. We, had this, 1,800, 1,900 square foot space. And I was paying rent on it for months and months and months until our lease was over. And then I said, you know what, we can't keep doing this. So I let go of the space. And that was in the fall, this past fall. And now we're at the place of looking for a new space. So it's exciting times, but like my realtor said, it's kind of like trying to find a unicorn, trying to find the right space to have a yoga studio, because most retail spaces that are available have offices already built. So, you can't just go in and demolish all the walls to create a studio space. You kind of have to, find the space that's more or less the right floor plan from the beginning. So anyway, that's something that I'm working on. All of my stories are running together. That was meant to be the introduction about me. Actually, I should give you a little more information. I have 2 children and I have a husband. My boys actually are over here. You might even be able to hear them. Currently, we are, this is a really random discussion I'm doing today. We have been traveling. We've been on the road since the beginning of April. My kids were distance learning, because of the pandemic, and we decided, and my husband's office closed down, and so we decided to go on the road. And so we've been on the road now for a little over 3 months, but we're going home soon. We're going to go home, I think, on Sunday, and then, I'll be back in Texas from Sunday on. School will start in the fall, so we need to be back and ready for that. Yeah, all of my updates are going together. So let's see, what have I told you? I've given you a little bit of introduction about me. If you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them. What else can I tell you? Oh, I was telling you the story about my background in engineering. So yes, I have a degree in engineering, and I worked in high tech for 10 years, first at Hewlett-Packard, which became HP, and then I worked at Dell, and I did manufacturing engineering as my degree. And then when I worked at HP, I I was supervising a factory that was in Mexico where they built computers. It was very fun for me. And then, I don't know, I did some other stuff at HP. And then I moved to Texas and worked at Dell for a while, where I was doing product marketing for a product which is called a server. And I had no idea what a server was before I went to work at Dell, but I quickly found out what a server is. It's basically like a really powerful computer that's used in businesses. So that's kind of my background. If you have questions, like I said, I'm happy to answer them. So there's the introduction about me. Something else that I should tell you about me is about my teaching. So, I mean, I've been teaching a long time, so I can tell you all kinds of stories and all kinds of versions of stories. But the short version is that I really love teaching a very adaptable style of yoga or an accessible style of yoga. You can call it all different kind of things. But I like teaching yoga in a way that's very inclusive, that offers lots of options so that everybody can do it. So, I had a video, actually a series of videos called Yoga for Bigger Bodies that went like pretty viral as far as I'm concerned. Like my most seen video was the Gentle Yoga for Bigger Bodies. And so people, know me for that and come to my channel looking for that. So that's one, population of people who I'm, super thrilled to work with. But also, I've spent a lot of time working with people who have MS, and, it's a little bit of a different type of modified yoga practice. I've worked with kids with special needs before for many years. I just love modifying the practice, like using my training, my yoga training, as well as my engineering training and my knowledge of like physics and body mechanics to adapt the practice and make it work for people so that they can practice yoga, so they can move their body in the way that's appropriate and available to them. And, of course, breathe, because we can all do that, and feel healthier. And maybe equally important, feel included, feel like, yes, this is something that I can do, and feel validated. I think that there's a lot of value in that. I think that's really important. It's important to me that people don't feel excluded. People don't feel excluded from the yoga practice. So that's where my passion lies. And I'm happy to work with all kinds of people, any kind of people, any group of people, special groups of people. I love it. Yeah. Even if, we've all got special stuff going on. So say you have like frozen shoulder. Yep, I can make the yoga practice work for you. Say you have a spinal fusion. Yep, I can make the yoga practice work for you. Whatever you've got going on in your body, even if, most things, because of my training, I know about most conditions that we may have in the body. But if it's something that I haven't heard of before, I can do some research, and then I can still make the yoga practice work for you. So that's what I really am passionate about in my teaching. Okay, so I'm supposed to talk to you about the intro about me. I've given you all kinds of information, and then I was going to give you the yoga updates, and that's what I was talking about as far as the yoga studio. Let me see what other yoga updates I can share with you. So during this pandemic, when I was forced to close my studio, we had to change a lot of things. And so now we have been offering classes online for more than a year. The classes are offered via Zoom. And when I say we, that means me plus my staff of teachers who used to teach with me when I had a brick and mortar studio space. And so we do that. And then I also, started an online community, which I host on Patreon. Probably many of you have heard me talk about that at one time or another. But that's kind of I don't know, it's like my YouTube Plus. It's the way like that all the people who practice with my YouTube videos, how I can give you some extra bonus content and extra support for your yoga practice and for your health and well-being. So that's another thing that I developed and I've been working on quite a bit. And that's about it. Oh, and I also do one-on-one, like private yoga instruction and yoga therapy. So that's another thing that I do. If you're interested in, reading more or working with me in one of those kind of ways, there's always a link in the description box that goes to the Work With Me page where you can, find links to all the different things and learn about how to work with me. And then the life updates that I wanted to share with you basically were that we've been traveling. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm currently in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We're at an RV park like we normally are, or sometimes they're called an RV resort. And this is the clubhouse. And I've been super lucky this week that nobody has been in this clubhouse. It's just me. It looks pretty dark. We have all the lights off and I'm sitting up here by a window. But I've been using this space to work from, and I'm getting ready to record a YouTube video. And my kids have been playing here. They have a bunch of puzzles here and a library of books. So it's been a really nice space to use this week. And this, grand adventure that we've been on is coming to an end because we're going home on Sunday. And I'll tell you, I'm a little bit nervous about going home because at home we have a big house. And I have long thought that the house is bigger than we need But since we've been living in our camper, which I think is about 400 square feet, we've been living in 400 square feet for 3+ months, and it's perfectly fine. Like, we're perfectly happy. This morning I lost my phone for a minute, and I was like, hey kids, can you help me find my phone? And we're like, okay, is it in the bedroom? Nope. Is it in the kitchen? Nope. Oh, it's on the sofa. Okay, it's really quick to find the phone when it's lost. And I was like, imagine we were in our house. How long would it take us to find the phone? We'd have to like walk over here and walk over there, and is it in the car? And we were estimating how many steps, like how many steps of walking would it take to find the phone in the camper? My kids estimated 20. And how many steps would it take us to find it in the house? And they were like, probably a few hundred. Yeah. And I don't know. Life is too busy. There's too much to do, too much enjoyable things that I want to be working on, like, parenting and my yoga stuff and baking and sewing and cooking and my personal yoga practice. And with all of this stuff that I want to be taking care of in life, taking care of a house really moves down on my priority list. So anyway, the point I was getting to is that when we get home, I've convinced my husband to let me stay in the camper for a week so that I can kind of like smoothly transition back to being in the house. So hopefully next week I'll be in my RV in a campground that's near my house so that I can just kind of, have a smooth mental transition back to the house. Plus that's going to like make it easier for us to move out of the camper because, we've been living in it. There's a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's my whole update for today. Thank you all for hanging out with me and listening to my ramblings. Let me know, please, if you have any questions or if you have any requests. I am getting ready here in a little bit to record the YouTube video, which will come out next week. So if you have any requests about something you'd like to see in a new video, I'm happy to hear from you. Yep. Let me think what else. Another thing that I've been thinking about this morning is that I need to do a better job of telling people that I publish a video every week on Monday. Occasionally, of course, there's an exception, but for the most part, videos come out on Monday, so you can expect those. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would encourage you to do that so that you get a notification every time I upload a new video or post some kind of information. I forgot. I have something important to tell you. I'll tell you in just a second. So subscribe, and then, of course, you can like this live stream if if you liked this rambling live stream. But you also can, of course, like videos, which helps out the video and helps me out a lot. So the thing that's very important that I totally had forgotten to tell you about until right now, and I'm kicking myself, is that in July, I believe it's starting on July 19th, I'm going to be doing a live stream, like a live stream week of classes. So in the past, I have called, like, I've done the 7-day challenge. I did a beginner 7-day challenge. I did a 21-day challenge. So I've got another one of these coming up starting, I believe it's July 19th. But this one is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be on Zoom rather than on YouTube. So you need to sign up for it ahead of time so that I can send you the link to it. And the reason that I'm doing it on Zoom is because when it's on Zoom, I can see you. And I mean, if you choose to turn your camera on, and I feel like I can do a better quality of instruction when I can see at least some of the people who are doing the practice with me. Because when I can see you, I can notice, what your level of flexibility is, what your level of strength is. It gives me some ideas about how to cue what the instruction is like. For example, giving options, like if we're doing forward fold, I know what kind of options to give depending on, how I see the people on the screen and what their flexibility looks like. There was some other piece of that. So when I see people, I can cue better. I can reorganize the practice better in my mind, when I can see the people. So anyway, lots of benefits, I think, at least from my end, to being able to see the students who are practicing with me. So if you're available during the week of July 19th, I would love to have you. The classes are going to be at 7 a.m. Central Time and they're going to be recorded. So even if you're not available at that time, it's okay. I will send you the recording each day so that you can keep up with it, and we'll practice together for 7 days. I'm planning for 45-minute practices, 45, 50 minutes, followed by a few minutes of Q&A or discussion. So that's coming. I'm excited about it. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. I hope that y'all are having a good Friday, and if you are in the US, that you will have a nice 4th of July weekend. And I will see you again next week when I am in Texas. All right, y'all have a great day, a great weekend. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon. All right, bye everybody.